Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. As always, I have another golf ball review for you today, and this one has been requested a lot, so I'm really excited about it. It is the Maxfli Tour S golf ball, brand new for the 2023 season. Let's dive in. All right, I want to apologize in advance if there's some shadowing on my face. The sun's kind of shifting, but I wanted to come out here today and do some golf reviews outside. It's just been such beautiful weather. I love it. I wish I was golfing right now just because it's so amazing. It is a little hot, but it's still early in the morning, so it's not too bad here yet in Florida, but it's just beautiful out here. I wanted to get out here and test some golf balls, so I apologize in advance if there's anything on my face. So yeah, as I said before, there have been a lot of requests for this golf ball. You know, a lot of people really love Maxfli. They're growing in popularity every year. You know, the price point's good. Everything's been really good with them. And then now they launched a new golf ball for the 23 season, which is the Tour S. So now you have the Tour S, the Tour, and the Tour X. Which essentially, I think the reason they did that was actually to go up against Vice. Vice has had this for years, and they are really good at it. But Vice has the Pro Soft, they have the Pro, and they have the Pro Plus, which is like their X model golf ball. Now, the reason I'm not exactly sure if Maxfli is going to hit the head on the hammer with this is that with Vice, it kind of makes sense. You have the Pro Soft, which feels really soft, really buttery. Then you have the Pro, which feels kind of medium. It feels a little firm. If you hit it pure, it has a nice little slight press. Otherwise, it is a little hard. I mean, it's a little, firm if you mishit it. And then you have the X, which is kind of a little firm all around. It's actually more rockish if you mishit it. But if you hit it perfect, it's firm and it has that click, but you're able to get it bend left or right. With Maxfli, their Tour already feels pretty soft. It actually feels really soft. And even their X model feels relatively soft. It's a little firmer, but not firmer like clicky, firmer like just firmer press. You can tell because it's a four-piece. However, where does that leave this one then? Is this one going to be like a Wilson soft? Is it going to be like so squishy and so soft that it's like more for a senior swinger? Well, after looking on the Dick's page, which is of course Dick's owns Maxfli, if you didn't know that, this is kind of where this chart lies. And you'll notice with the chart that essentially this golf ball actually is supposed to be a low launching opposed to mid or mid-high. It's supposed to be a low launching, and it's actually supposed to have lower spin, which immediately makes me think, okay, well, it's not for senior swingers then, because usually senior swingers, they want actually to get the ball a little higher in the air and have it spin a little more to kind of get a little more height and get a little further distance. So it's not the case there. That's not what it's designed to do. Maybe it's supposed to have a little bit more penetrating ball flight, but with it being softer, I also thought it would have got more spin, which it's claiming it doesn't. So I'm not exactly sure what they're going for here. They're not saying on the website who the golf ball's for, so based on my testing, I'll just have to kind of make a guess at the end. So one thing already that Maxfli, there's a couple things they did that I'm not a big fan of. I'll get to one in a minute because it has to do with the appearance of the golf ball, but they have increased their prices from last year. Last year, when Maxfli golf balls had first really come into their Tour line, it was 2 for $55. Then last year it was 2 for $60. Now it's 2 for $70. It's actually $40 a pop, $40 a dozen, which I think for a Maxfli golf ball is not in a good price point. I really don't, because I think when you get in that $39.99 price point, the Vice is $38, the Cut DC is $30, the Tour Response Stripe, which is an amazing golf ball, is at $42. I think there's too much competition in there. When they were $35 a dozen, it really made sense, and then you could get them for $30 a dozen if you bought 2 of them. Now I know what you're saying, well Nick, you could buy 2 of them and get them for $35 a dozen now. Yes, but again, if you buy Vice, a few dozen Vice, you can actually get them for $30 a dozen. So again, I think Vice has them beat there. I'm not a fan that they increased the price, but that's what you're looking at for the new updated model. All right, so let's get into the design of this golf ball. If you look on the front there, you've got Maxfli's classic logo that they've had for a few years with the big circle on it, the big dot in the middle. Don't know what that means, but you recognize it. And then this has a blue number, which I'm not a big fan of because they have another golf ball that has the blue number on it. So this one is a little bit lighter, but I would have liked to have seen them use a different color. Guys, there's plenty of colors. You don't have to use the same ones. But overall, it doesn't feel bad. Bigger dimple style, not smaller. It's a bigger dimple style. Looking at it, that's going to make it probably launch a little bit lower, which is what they're trying to go for. But here's where I'm really upset. If you look on the side here, the alignment tool, they just took it back to a basic line, Tour SCG. The arrows are really small. This alignment tool is just no bueno for me. And what makes me mad is that last year on their tour balls, they had a great alignment tool. They had, this is essentially, I'll show you what it is, but they had the 2 thick lines, and it was actually really easy to line up your golf ball. It was a great design. And what I don't understand is they actually still have this on their straight fly, their soft fly, their tri fly. All the 23 models of that still have it. They just took it off on their tour line, which I just don't understand. Maybe they had people complaining about it, which would be silly if they did, because it helps you line up your putts. But I understand some people just don't like it, but I'm not a fan that they took it off. It's kind of disappointing for me. All right, so let's get out to the chipping and putting green. Let's see how we did out there. Okay, so out here, honestly, I expected this golf ball to be pretty soft. I mean, it is called the Tour S. It's supposed to be the Tour Soft line, kind of to rival the Vice Soft, the Pro Soft they have. But coming out here, it did not feel that way. It didn't feel super soft. It definitely felt clicky off miss hits. Anytime I used the wedge and I'd miss just a little off the toe or a little inside, or maybe bladed a little bit, didn't quite get underneath it enough and hit in the middle of the club, it would make a pretty loud click, and it actually felt about medium firmness. So that is going to turn some people off, especially the guys who are buying this golf ball expecting that level of softness. You won't get it here. It's actually more of a medium feeling golf ball. The other thing that bothered me as well is it didn't have a lot of checkup. I expected with the urethane tour level golf ball, I expected it to grip the green pretty decent. The X and the regular Maxfli Tour do, but not this one. I didn't get a lot of checkup. There was sometimes if I really struck it pure and I struck it from off the green, you know, maybe 10, 20 yards away, I'd get a little bit of checkup, not bad, but anything chipping around the green, like where you're just kind of on the fringe, you're just off, you're not going to get a lot of spin or checkup there, and I was really disappointed. I expected more. All right, so going into the putter now, if using a mallet style, the golf ball actually feels pretty good and it rolls pretty good for the most part. It's not a perfect roll by any means. There is a tiny bit of the chug effect. It's not bad though. You'll still get, for the most part, a pretty true roll, and I don't think it's gonna affect your golf ball too much. There was a great level of forgiveness with the putter though. It did make a click though. It still made that click when you hit it. It wasn't really trying to offer me feedback through the hands. It was trying to offer me feedback by hearing it, which I think will turn some people off, because again, with most soft model golf balls where they're supposed to be more softer, usually it's the opposite. Usually they do it in a way of feel opposed to hearing that click, because that click turns a lot of people off. Once I had a bladed style putter though, that click got really, really loud. It actually got a lot more louder. That's the type of click that I would see more of in a 4-piece golf ball, X model, extremely firm. I was really surprised how loud the click was. Maybe it's just because I was expecting such a soft model golf ball, but when I heard that click multiple times, it was starting to bother me. And I'm an old school guy that kind of likes a little click, so I think it is going to turn some people off, especially who are wanting that soft, bouncy ball type feel. There's just not a lot of bouncy ball to be had here. All right, so if I had to describe the feel of this golf ball to you, essentially what I would probably say is not as expected. That's pretty much the way I could sum it up. I expected this golf ball being the S model, the soft, you know, it says it's supposed to be the softest. I expected it to be really, really squishy. Not the case here. Now, I will say I have not tested the 23 Maxfli Tour yet, so I don't know how it feels, but going off of the 22 model, this one I think actually at times feels a little firmer than that. Mishits off of it feel really dead. They actually kind of sting your hands just slightly. And maybe that's because I wasn't expecting it to. You know, it's being so soft. Like the Wilson golf ball, if you mishit it, you almost don't tell because it just squishes so much and it compresses so much and it just springs off the club like a bouncy ball that you just don't notice. Whereas this one, when I mishit it, I really could tell and I really could feel it, which is great for feedback. But I don't know if I would really call it the softest feeling golf ball out of their Tour line. I think the Maxfli Tour might actually still feel a little softer at times. Wish it had been a little bit softer, but other than that, the feel just really isn't my style. It just doesn't feel like it springs off the club as much as like their X model did, and it doesn't feel as soft and feel as nice as the regular Tour model did. So I'm kind of in between on it. I'm not a big fan of the feel, but let's dive into these numbers. Let's see if maybe these numbers will help its case any. So getting into the 9-iron, 90.7 on your 9-iron speed, which is slightly below average, but not too big of a deal. 124.8, I lost about a yard, no big deal. 118, another yard, no big deal. And it did launch really low. 21.3 is definitely a low launch for me. So far it is launching lower like it said it would, but that also did cause me to lose a yard of distance. So I don't know if that's really a good trade-off. Launching the golf ball low is something that some players need. Sometimes you need to launch it a little lower because you just get too much ball flight. right. Maybe your clubs are high lofted. Maybe you're just not good at taking dynamic loft off. So if you're someone who needs a low penetrating flight ball, it's off to a good start. Let's get into the 7-iron here. We are looking at 5,923 on the spin. That is extremely low. So that's, again, the spin is extremely low. My hope is that the golf ball would go a lot further because of that, and it looks like it does. 109.5 on your speed, which is 3 miles an hour above my average. That is a really, really good number. 166.3 is an amazing number to average. 155.6, amazing. And look at that, it launched low at 17.6. So again, it's doing everything it's supposed to do, other than maybe being soft, like it says. But as far as the distance, really, really good there. I actually had some decent forgiveness. It wasn't the best forgiveness I'd ever had, but if I'm averaging these numbers like this, I gotta say it's pretty darn good. So let's continue on with the 5 hybrid now. We are looking at 4,180 on your spin, which is just slightly above average. 115.6, so that's pretty disappointing. 191.6 on your, so that's below average again. 176.7, just slightly below average. And it launched pretty high actually at 15.5, and that's higher than I've been getting with a lot of my clubs recently from the hybrid. So I would say that's probably the first area where it didn't launch low like it said it would. But what I'm really disappointed in there was the fact that with the hybrid, I really wasn't compressing it very well. And this is where the forgiveness actually dropped on this golf ball. This was really bad. This was, you know, sometimes I'd get 117, 118, and sometimes I'd get 110, 111. If I mishit it, I'd lose about 8 to 9 yards. Which is definitely not the norm. Usually I lose like 3 or 4 on a mishit, unless it's just a complete fail, you know, complete mishit. But, you know, off the toe, off the inside, usually it's only 3 or 4 miles an hour. This one was a lot higher, and that's why the average ended up a lot lower. I was a little disappointed with the hybrid. Usually the hybrid is a time for these tour golf balls, the more expensive golf balls. It's their time to shine, and this one kind of fell a little flat there. Okay, so getting into the driver, we still have a chance here to save it. 25.92 on your spin, which is very, very low. Again, I like to see that because that's what it promises. 242.3, 133.8, which again, you know, that's slightly below average. 221, slightly below average. And it launched at 14.5, which is below my average. So again, the golf ball is actually doing a pretty decent job of doing what it claims to do. But here's the problem. For me personally, I don't need a lower launch because, as you can see, even though the ball mile per hour speed is pretty good for all these golf balls or for all these clubs I'm testing, I'm losing distance, and that's because I'm just not getting the ball up in the air enough. The only time a low ball flight really benefits you, most of the time at least, is when you're swinging really, really fast. Guys who swing, and that's why a lot of traditional X model golf balls will fly lower, because guys are swinging really fast, they launch them low, the backspin will kind of cause it to come up a little bit and then sit. If you've ever seen, you know, TrackMan when you're watching PGA Tour, you'll notice it launches low, then kind of comes up and then, you know, drops on the green. But this is kind of the opposite. This is the Tour S. It's supposed to, I mean, I'm confused. Is this supposed to be the firmest golf ball out of all of them? Is it supposed to be for high swingers? They don't really do a great job of telling me on the Dick's page. And based on the numbers, that's what I think they would be for, is a more faster swinger. But it's also a softer golf ball. It's supposed to be the softest golf ball. So I don't know. I'm really not sure. I'm not exactly sure what the golf ball is going for. But real quick before I get into my final thoughts, I want to go ahead and test the durability. Looking at it, it's okay. It's not great. It's not as good as past models. There's a lot of scrapes here. There's some cuts. I did my best I could to clean it up, but overall it's just average. It's just mediocre. It gets you to maybe a round, and that's about it. And that's if you made it the whole round. Otherwise, probably not. Okay, so there's some good here. There's some bad. It's really a mixed bag. My honest thought process is I'm not exactly sure who this golf ball is for. Whenever a company comes out with a new golf ball and they just kind of add it to their line, it's almost always a fail. Vice did it this year. Vice has one of the best lineups in golf, and they said, hey, let's add in a Pro Zero. And it was awful. And not only was it awful from my test, it was awful from my Golf Spy test. It just bombed. People hate it. No one likes it. I mean, there's a couple of you in there that really like it. But other than that, it's a really bad golf ball. And they didn't need to add one. It was a great lineup before, and I feel like Maxfli kind of had the same thing. Maxfli Soft Fly is really good. The Straight Fly is one of my favorites. It's a highly recommended golf ball for me. The Tour is pretty good. The Tour X was really good. The Tri-Fly is okay, depending on who it's for. They have a base lineup. I felt like they really needed to try to improve all of those and get them all little higher tier. That way they could fight with Vice because they're close. Instead, they throw another golf ball into the mix, and I don't know who it's for. It launches low, but it's supposed to be one of the softest. It doesn't feel like the softest. The green performance is just okay. It doesn't roll as true as it could. Distance-wise, yeah, distance-wise, great, but really, really low spin there. So that would mean that, again, I would think it would be for faster swingers. So I just don't know. I don't know who the golf ball's for. There's a lot of inconsistency in here. Durability definitely could have been better. And unfortunately, now that Maxfli has increased their prices, it's really priced them out of this. You know, if this golf ball was still $30 a dozen, I might say, hey, it's worth a shot, it's worth a try. But at $40 a dozen, there's other golf balls that are much better. The Tour Stripe Response for an extra $3, amazing. The Q-Star Tour, amazing. Cut DC, really darn good. The Vice Pro, Pro Soft, Pro Plus. There's just so many golf balls in this market now that are just so much better. I would have a hard time recommending this one. So in the future, hopefully Maxfli maybe can keep their prices down a little bit, run a little bit better specials, maybe some BOGOs opposed to 2 for, you know, some 2 for deals. Instead, maybe some BOGOs. But overall, I'm really disappointed in the S. I was hoping it was better. And they took away the alignment tool as well, which really, really hurt me deep. Guys, as always, keep watching to keep saving and keep learning. Until next time, I appreciate it as always.